What is going on, guys? How you guys been? How you doing? It's been a while since I did one of these. Let's just wait for some more people to join on. I did kind of announce this late, so I won't begrudge you for not joining this, but in the future, you're obligated to do so. Let's see who we have in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me. Post the chat and let me know if you can hear me. What's up, guys? Why wouldn't it let me see who's in here? What's going on, guys? Somebody write something. Let me know that you can hear me fine. Ah, there you go. Hey, what's going on, Brian? What's going on, Vladimir? Nice. Barack, what's going on? Derek, Ed. All right, let's get right into it. And then, the more people that join, the better. But let's get right into it. So, what's going on, Damon? So, I wanted to talk about, obviously, Bitcoin. We'll go over the direction that I think Bitcoin is going in the short term. And then, I'll take some of your stock and coin requests, obviously. And then I'll go over some options basics. Options is one of those things that I'm actually really glad that I've been getting a lot of questions on this. And I've gotten so many questions on this that I love your show. Thank you. Hi, Desert Garden. I've gotten so many requests on this that I actually opened up yesterday an options channel in the Discord where I will be sending out alerts specifically for options. Before, I used to do this in the chat, and I also used to send it in the stock alerts as well, but now it has its own dedicated channel. And if you want access to those trade alerts, link is in the description. But I'll go over some options basics for those of you that are a little bit confused by options. There's no shame in that. Options is a very confusing derivative to trade. It's not straightforward. It's not like buying and selling stocks or crypto. So I'll go over that. But let us get right into it and go over Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is currently doing its low volatility thing where it's trading in the sideways pattern. And it's been doing so really since, November, right? You see this here since November 22nd or so, been trading in this low volatility pattern. We did have I did send out a long alert for Bitcoin. And the reason I did that is very simple. Trend is your friend until the end. I always say that, right? But you have basically a series of double bottoms here. This is basically an Adam and Eve, but it's a form of a double bottom. You have a double bottom here and you have a double bottom here. And every time in this descending channel that Bitcoin has done a double bottom, Big Z in the fucking house. What's up, Ari? Every time that you have a double bottom like this within this channel, Bitcoin has gone on to test the resistance, but its ability to break through moving averages has gotten weaker. So my goal was to trade at least until the 50 moving average, which was at around 7,500. And yesterday we did go above 7,500. And that yielded a good 30% on 10x leverage. For those of you that used more, obviously got more, and those that used less, you got less. But currently I don't have any longs or shorts open on Bitcoin, and that's because its position is precarious. What I can tell you is that during these low volume, low volatility situations, Bitcoin is primed for another big move. However, I wouldn't be surprised in either direction. And that's not a cop-out. There are times when the market doesn't give you clear signs. It's not like there's clear signs and you just have to be a genius and figure out what they are. In the short term, markets can be very hard to predict at times. Sometimes they can be very easy to predict. In this case, this low volume, low volatility move, this double bottom doesn't really resemble any of the other double bottoms where right after they're formed, we see a rally in price to the resistance of this descending channel, right? So we've been going at this sideways for a very long time. I wouldn't be surprised if we retest, 6,800 or below. I wouldn't be surprised if we finally break above the 50 moving average and shoot up to 8,400, where the resistance lies of this descending channel. And because that's unclear to me, there isn't an optimal move to make, at least in the short term. Now, that doesn't mean that, I'm not buying Bitcoin if we do end up crashing, or if we do end up tanking, at least down to 6,800 or below. The last time I bought a shitload of Bitcoin was at the 6,500 range when we retested that. So I'm merely talking about short-term leveraged plays. Happy holidays. Edward Park says happy holidays. Happy holidays. What's up, Todd? What's going on, Carl? Happy holidays to you as well. So let us get I'll go over some of your chart requests. There's just one thing that I wanted to show you with regards to Bitcoin in the long term. So if we look at the weekly, you'll see that it has actually formed this golden cross between the 50 and the 100. The 50 on my chart being the orange, the 100 being the yellow. So because of this and the way that Bitcoin behaves on the weekly chart, I can't imagine that we'll see much further tanking, right? So we could retest 6,800 to 65 to 6,800, but I don't imagine that, we'll see a $3,000 Bitcoin anytime soon. Obviously the market can do it at once and we have to adapt accordingly, but that is my view. I will play the current trend that Bitcoin is in and look at some of the indicators. And I just don't see us, hitting a $3,000 Bitcoin, especially with this golden cross here. I think it is more likely that we eventually retest resistance at around $8,400, $8,500. And the likely breakout from a descending channel like this is a move to the upside, not a move to the downside. It can move to the downside, but that is the likely breakout. Alicio, what's going on, man? How you doing? All right, so let me take some of your chart requests. If you guys do have more questions on Bitcoin, post it in the chat, and I'll go over that. Otherwise, I will take your chart requests. Richard Backey says ADA. All right, Richard, I assume you mean, if you guys don't specify, by the way, this is one little thing that annoys the living shit out of me in our Discord community. Not many things annoy me. This kind of does, is when I get chart requests for coins and it's not specified whether you want me to look at the coin against BTC or against USD, and they could be very different charts. So for that reason, I'll just go over the BTC until you tell me that's not the case. Zaymoto, hey, I have buy positions at 7,400. Should I hold? Is that your first buy for Bitcoin? Or did you buy Bitcoin before that? If that's your first buy for Bitcoin, I'm going to ask you, why the hell would you buy at 7,400 and not at 6,500? But I don't think 7,400 is a good buy, personally. No, I don't. And why is that? Well, just like on the poker table, you want to only enter in hands where you can get a good amount of information on your opponent. So in this case, it's the same thing with charts. You only want to enter when you can get a good amount of information on the market. And 7,400 doesn't tell you shit. 7,400 is right here, right, on Bitcoin's chart. What does that tell you? Absolutely nothing. It's below the 50 MA. It's within this the sideways range. All right, my bad. Sound is back. I think. Yep, I could see the. Hey, and be sure to let me know when be sure to let me know when the sound is out or when something is awry, because I might not see it immediately until you tell me. So yes, I get it. No sound. I get it. It's it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. I see his lips moving, but nothing is coming. It'll come. Trust me. 1 second. Alexander, hey. Alicia says you are back. Okay, good. I always trust Alicia. He's been definitely one of the loyal ones. Okay, so let's look at BAT USD. Thank you so much, Todd, for the super chat. You definitely get priority for that. I at least owe you that. So BAT USD. If you look at BAT USD, the worrying thing here is that there is a, that there's a sound is not. Yeah, sound should be back. There's a death cross forming between the 50 and the 100. And if you look at BAT's short history against USD, you'll see that those death crosses are actually valid. It's not like it does a death cross and then the price kicks back up and invalidates the death cross. So that is one worrying thing to me. The other thing is you have this level here clearly, which used to be resistance. And then it tried to test it as support, did do a little climb above the 200 MA, and then broke back down very easily below support. I don't see I don't see really any viable swing trade opportunities on BAT. I will say that this could be a double bottom here, which could bode well for BAT. But currently with the death cross forming, it could be a while before we see any rally. If we do pop above the 50 and 100 and are able to close above it, then we could see a rally back to the 27-cent range. Other than that, I would say that this is probably a good place to scale in, right, for the long term or midterm for BAT. But currently, I don't see a swing trade unless we break above the 50 and 100 MAs again. Your sound. God, why are you guys complaining about the sound? I think it looks like it's fine based on the meter that I see. So unless somebody tells me otherwise, let's see. Oh, it could be the wrong microphone. Okay, now it's back. Cool. Thank you, High Desert Garden, for being the audiophile that you are and recognizing that it's not the right microphone. So somebody asked about ADA before. So ADA BTC, let's do that. I can't remember who it was, but for if you'll recognize what the hell's going on? You'll recognize the analysis since you're the one that asked for it. So let us get right into ADA BTC. So looking at ADA BTC, I mean, there's so many alts that I really just absolutely don't care for. And this is one of them at the moment. So it continues to make, lower lows really with no sign at all of recovery. It even broke below, the low that we saw back in December 2017. It is trading in what could be a consolidation pattern, but it's been in this since August, man. August, September, October, November, December, 5 months of trading in this extremely low volatility range. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just one of these projects that I really won't touch until it starts showing me on the chart that there is a potential new market structure that it wants to form. Otherwise, it's just really, you can buy here and hold it, but God knows when we'll see a rally in ADA. I mean, look at this. I bet you if you pull up something like a Bollinger Band, you'll see a really tight range here. Whoops, let me delete one of these. I'll delete the 21 EMA. I ran out of indicators. Yes, it even happens to me. So if you look at the Bollinger Bands, like it's so tight you could barely see it. So, it is due for a move, I guess, at some point. When is anybody's guess. But a lot of alts really and top alts are in that spot. So, all right, cool. Sound a couple notches higher. What is going on, guys? What is going on? Hold on. All right, let's see if this fixes it. Let's see. All right. How about now? Vet BTC. All right, AJ says Vet BTC, please. Let us look at Vet BTC. All right, looking at Vet BTC. Well, it's not as bad as say something like an ADA. Vet is forming a cup and handle here. You see the cup forming, right? You can even extend it out to these larger areas, and you see the handle forming here. Right? And really, it has to break above this convincingly. The problem is that a lot of these coins, man, none of them have great volume, and they're trying to hit heights that they hit before and can't even come close. So it's really hard for me to advocate trading some of this shit. This is a tradable pattern. I doubt we'll get the volume necessary to convincingly break above this. But if we do, then you can enter a swing trade to at least this level that you see here. At least this level that you see here, where we first started this descending valley, and where we hit a peak, so around 102 sats. Can you look at ETH USDT? Thanks. Okay. Let's see. What's up, Dino? All right, I'll look at ETH USDT. So this is one where this actually looks really interesting here, because it's been in this descending channel forever, and we're currently, we hit the support of the descending channel, and it's been a while since we tested the resistance of the descending channel. Still, I don't think it's swing trade viable at the moment. This is something that you would buy and hold for the mid to long term. And obviously, if Bitcoin rallies, then you'll see a rally in ETH. But I do think that you can justify buying at this level, especially since the beginning of the year. We saw a lot of support at this level. It went for almost a month and a half at the exact same level that it's at now. So when you see that, you do know that is a viable level for a scale-in. Doesn't mean it can't go down further, but when you're scaling in, you'll never know when the bottom is, right? So trying to find the bottom is an exercise in futility. But that is why you scale in for the long term. So I wouldn't. There really aren't many swing trades here, but for sure you can scale in for the long term on ETH. Stocks are so great if you're able to trade them in your country. Regular times, clear-cut tax guidelines can actually sleep at night. Jeffrey Cavalier, I 100% agree. And aside from the fact that the stock gains have been insane this year, right? The stock gains have netted us what crypto used to do for us back in 2017. It's unreal when I look at my portfolio, what 2019 has yielded. I mean, between AMTD, between Tesla, between WWE, and we'll go over some of these. And again, I mean, this isn't just a coin request session. You can request stocks if you like. You can even request options, and I'll show you how I look at options and how I analyze options, and how do I pick my strikes, and how do I try to determine what the future price of options are. So Nick Kesserling, the boss is the GOAT at TA. Thanks, Nick. Thanks. And another loyal one that's been around for a long time. When do you think BTC will visit the 200-week EMA? Let's look at the 200-week EMA for BTC. What the hell chart is that? I don't even remember doing that. Probably something that I posted on TradingView. The 200-week EMA currently, the 200-week MA currently is, I can even get you an exact if I pull this down. The 200-week MA is $9,281. That's not going to happen anytime soon, man. For that to happen, Bitcoin would have to break out of this pattern. And I believe when Bitcoin breaks out of this pattern, I mean this descending channel that we've been in since July, right? 6 months. When we break out of this pattern, I believe that is the start of the next bull rally. And we'll continue on this gradual upswing until we get to the halving and continue up further. So I looked at previous halving charts. I posted them before, but if you look at them, there's a gradual rally after, a crash. And by all means, what we did between July and now, what we did is a crash. If you don't believe me, look at it. We went from 14K, right? We went from 14K all the way down to, 64. We basically dropped more than 50% in the span of 6 months. If that's not a crash by your standards, then I don't know what standards you're using to measure, but it's definitely a crash. So with that said, you see a crash before the halving and then a gradual rally up. So if we do hit the 200 MA, that means we broke this descending channel. And I believe once we break it, because it's been so stubborn, so long, and it's been validated multiple times by hitting support and resistance a zillion times, I believe that we'd leave that channel behind and we'd start our rally on to new highs leading up to the halving of 2020. Personally, I don't think we'll hit 20,000 until after the halving of 2020. It's not something that I think will happen before the halving. And now the halving is estimated to be around mid 2020 at some point. It doesn't happen on a certain date. It happens at a certain block number. So it's just really an estimated date at this point. BTC will be 3 figures in 2020. 3 figures? You mean like in the hundreds? Okay, if you say so. I'd like to see that. This is Daily Z. Oh, okay. So you're wanting AGI BTC. Brian Kelly is saying AGI BTC, please. Barack, I was asking about weekly. Screw you, man. Screw you. Let's look at the weekly real quick, and then I'll go over AGI BTC. Looking at the weekly. Do I think it'll hit? No, I don't think it'll hit the 200 weekly again. It certainly could, but Bitcoin doesn't have a habit of doing so after it's already hit the 200 weekly. It could come close. We could get to, like, say, a 6,500, but the 200 weekly is currently 5,090. We already hit the 200 weekly and spent a good time there, for almost 2 to 3 months when we fell all the way down to 3,200. And I believe that was, Bitcoin's way of testing. Remember, I used to say that Bitcoin will test the 200 weekly and that Bitcoin will test the 21 EMA, and it'll be weird if it doesn't. I didn't really get a lot of backlash for that, but, it did seem unbelievable to some people. But these things are there for a reason. But once we tested it, now that we're forming this golden cross, I personally don't think we'll test the 200 weekly again. Until we break out of this pattern. So AGI BTC. Who asked for AGI BTC? It was it? Oh, Brian Kelly. Okay. AGI BTC. I'll be honest, I've never heard of this. Same thing as Cardano, man. Look at that. It might be even uglier. Below all moving averages, flatlining. If you pull up something like the Bollinger Bands, you'll see just how ugly this can be. It's super tight. Should only really be considered for a long-term scaling. I don't even know if there will be enough volume to take this up to new heights. I don't know. I things like this I don't really like, unless you're getting it for free or you're mining it somehow or staking it. It's not really my thing. So you can buy some and hold on to it, but there's a lot of other good trades to do. So not really my thing. Your analysis is looking at the past. BTC is not Bitcoin anymore for a while now. King Time says, your analysis is looking at the past. BTC is not Bitcoin anymore for a while now. Dude, you're making so much sense that I just can't comprehend it. So, sorry. Guy Gamer, Nani. Inside joke. Link USD when move, Guy Gamer says. Okay, let's look at Link USD. And then I'll go over options because I said I would. And I think that those who want a lesson in options, need to stick around for that. I think that is definitely one area that folks definitely want to start learning because of the profit potential, but there isn't much information or much knowledge around options, at least not from a beginner standpoint. So let's look at, Silver Jaguar, thoughts on Link and Tezos. Cool, man. I'm going over Link right now, and then I'll go over Tezos. So looking at Link, this is, it definitely retraced after, I believe I do have a chart that has more analysis on this. Yeah. So Link, the one reason that I would say this is a good scaling for Link is because we're sitting at the 0.786 fib and it's been holding there for a while. And this right here is a magic ratio, right? So it retraced in terms of price. It retraced, 40, almost 43%. It retraced. Whoops. What did I just do? It retraced almost 43%, and it's down at the 0.786 fib. It doesn't have the volume anymore. Look at the volume. It's atrocious. However, it is at a level that it usually hangs around at. So between August and October, you see it hanging around the same level that it's in currently. So that the fact that it's at the 0.786, the fact that it didn't just rip through it and it's holding at this level, I would definitely scale in here. Again, I don't think there are any viable swing trades at the moment, but you definitely could hold Link at $1.82 and, potentially add to it if we dip below. You do see the death cross here. Not a good sign for Link, but it is holding it at the 0.786. I'm going to look at Tezos for Silver Jaguar. Thanks for the super chat. So you definitely get priority over that. Let us look at Tezos. Looking at Tezos. Let me just remove the Bollinger Bands real quick. Actually, I'll look at Bitfinex. All right. So Tezos dropped almost 30% as well, just like Link, after it did see highs earlier this month. And this right here is it actually could be considered a failed pattern. I don't think it's over yet, but you have this rounding bottom here and you have another one. This is a double bottom. So you do expect to see a rally from here, but it wasn't able to overcome this resistance here that we saw it form back in May, right? It hit that same resistance and tanked. However, if you look at this in isolation, you could say that this right here is a cup and handle, right? And a cup and handle is a bullish pattern usually. So you have the cup here and then the obvious handle. I still need to draw it out or some people will bitch at me. But here is the cup and handle that you see here. And the two things that Tezos have going for it are the pattern that it's in and then the moving averages, right? If you look at the golden cross, it happened here back beginning of December, first week of December. And then you have the second golden cross that happened just yesterday between the 50 and the 200. So, I would say that you can hold off until Link actually breaks the 50 MA, which would then break the handle part of the cup and handle. So above $1.40 is probably a good range to get back into Tezos until around $1.78, $1.80. So that's my view of Link and of Tezos. All right. I was asking about blah, blah, blah. Let's see. What chats did I miss? Can we take a look at PayPal? You know what? I'm going to take a look at PayPal only because I've been doing coins up until now and definitely, deserve a stock. Oh, Adler says, what's good, traveling trader? Check out XRP USD. Let me know the real deal. Also, do you trade alts in USD or BTC? Great question. And thank you for the super chat. So I will definitely give your question priority at the moment. 1 second. Let me just make sure the audio is good since we were having issues earlier. Okay. Looks all good. Thank you, Adler, for the super chat. XRP. So I'll look at XRP USD. And in terms of your question as to whether I trade against USD or BTC, if you've been around the channel for a while, you'd know that I trade in both, right? So I trade in both because I have an interest in gaining USD and I have an interest in gaining BTC. I am somewhat of a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm a little different than some of the other Bitcoin maximalists because they would never touch any of the altcoins, even with trading. For me, I'm a trader by nature, so I will trade anything that really makes me, any sort of money or has the potential to make me any sort of money. I'm agnostic when it comes to that. But when it comes to my belief in coins, so if you ask me to pick a coin and, close my laptop, put all my money in that coin and not look at it for 5 years, there's only one coin that I would do that with, and that is Bitcoin. So that's why I call myself a Bitcoin maximalist. So I'm either looking to increase my share in USD or my share in BTC. You could certainly take both approaches as long as you know when you enter a trade what it is that you're looking to do. Don't enter a USD trade looking at a BTC chart and vice versa. It just doesn't make sense. It's almost like foreign exchange where you might look to increase your share of USD, but you also might look to increase your share of euro or the British pound. So you're not going to look at USD versus the peso if you're looking to increase your share in the British pound, for instance, right? So kind of a rough analogy, but that's as close as we're going to get in trading. That cryptocurrency trading can be like Forex. You have to know what pair you're looking to increase. But looking at XRP USD, this one is a bit disappointing because we were playing the swing on XRP for the longest time. For most of 2019, or at least the second half of 2019, we were basically buying at the support right here in the yellow and selling at resistance. And resistance was anywhere from 27 to 30 cents. And it was one of the easiest swing trades. So when XRP in November retraced back down to this yellow zone, I ended up buying XRP and now it's fallen below that and it's at 19 cents. There's only, a certain limit before I will offload XRP, but since it's trading in the sideways pattern, I'll give it another shot. If we do get to 18 cents or below, I might offload XRP until there is a clear swing trade in its future. Remember, trend is your friend until the end. So once this trend was abolished or once, it basically went kaput, you can't be stubborn and stick to the same trend. It just doesn't exist anymore. So this yellow box can actually be deleted. I only have it here for reference when I talk about XRP, for the sake of showing you what a continuous swing trade looks like, or continuously swing trading a certain range looks like. We must have entered this trade, for those of you that are in the channel know this, but it must have been at least 5 or 6 times and made good profits on it. So XRP now is at 19 cents. And if you look at it historically against Tether, there isn't really it's so low that there isn't really a precedence for this against Tether. You will have to look at against USD on something like Bitfinex, something that has longer history. And if you do look at the 19 cent level, this is something that we saw, in October 2017 before the rally up to $3. So yeah, it's hard to say whether XRP will see another major rally. But so far, this range is the range that we were in between August and December of 2017 before the rally to $3. I don't think we'll see $3 again, but it could be, if you don't have any XRP, 19 cents could be a good scaling level. But if you've been holding XRP for, for the longest time, I would consider offloading it at some point if it falls well below 19 cents. There just really isn't any imminent sign that XRP is going to be rallying here. I mean, look at the volume that we saw in September 2018 when we went to about 60 cents versus the volume that we see now. It's just completely atrocious. The VFI is below zero. It's just not a good sign. So I wouldn't stubbornly hold on to XRP. Thumbs up for the stream, y'all. Michael Bless says, hey, thanks a lot, man. Somebody asked about PayPal earlier, and I don't want to ignore it because nobody's been asking about stocks, and I do want to do a stock for sure. That was John Blano. Can we take a look at PayPal? So I'm going to take a look at PayPal, and then I'll talk about, I'll go over the basics of how I look for options and how I price options and how I analyze options. So let's look at PayPal. This was an interesting one that I actually did trade a few times in 2019. Not so often, but it did provide, some interesting swings here. However, when it did fall below the 200 MA, then it was a little harder to read. Now we're forming the mini golden cross between the 50 and the 100 that you see here, the orange and the yellow line. PayPal is definitely there's a strong resistance pattern that you see here that it's currently in. It's actually easier if you draw it with a rectangle, but there's this resistance pattern that it's in here. It's been in this resistance pattern since July, so 6 months now. If it does fall down to say the 98 to $100 range, then you could certainly buy it with the intention of selling it back at this resistance level. I would even venture out and say that, the golden crosses and the death crosses on PayPal historically aren't really that meaningful. So just the fact that it's in a golden cross doesn't mean that we'll see a mooning from here. You'll see how many times it crosses below and above. So Aurora Cannabis stock, Silver Jaguar. Thanks again, man. I'll definitely look at Aurora Cannabis right after this. So you could actually venture to short PayPal here for a short term, and you can actually do so through options. It's just riding the 200 moving average. I would like to see it close comfortably below that, because in the short term, actually, it is forming somewhat of an ascending triangle. So if we do end up breaking this resistance up here, then we could see a breakout to previous highs that we saw in July, which was at around $121. So I wouldn't be so quick to short it. I might short it below the resistance of this ascending triangle, or below the support of this ascending triangle. So if we do get to $105.80 or below, I might short it or engage in put options or call options, in short call options or long put options in order to take advantage of a potential downswing to about $99 and below. So that is what I think of PayPal at the moment. Taking a look at Aurora Cannabis. All right. What's up, Mr. Ether? Taking a look at Aurora Cannabis. All right. So Aurora Cannabis, this is currently one that I'm definitely in, and I'm in this for the long term. Where the hell did this come from? I'm definitely in this for the long term. It's one that can net you a huge amount of gains, and you actually don't need to hold on to it for a very long time. I mean, sorry, you do need to hold on to it for a long time, but you don't have to hold on to a lot of it, because as you see here, at around, say you got in at around $2, just a gain to $4 is 100%, obviously. And a gain to, if we go back to when it was $10, that's almost 400%. So, you definitely don't need to hold a lot of it in your portfolio. I think some people make mistakes of doing that, thinking that they'll hit the jackpot. But obviously with low-priced stocks, even low-priced coins, small moves represent a large percentage, and that includes small moves to the downside. So you definitely don't want to hold, more than 5% in your portfolio. That's just according to my risk tolerance. You might have your own risk tolerance, but for me, I don't really like to hold large amounts of stocks or coins like this. I do like to I will definitely buy Aurora Cannabis and have bought Aurora Cannabis at this range, whether it's $2 or $3, because a move up does represent a large amount of percentage gains. But I will also not hold it below a certain amount. So if Aurora Cannabis does fall below, say, $1.40, then I might just abandon it. And it doesn't mean I'll abandon it forever, but I'll look to re-enter it when we do see some potential viability in a swing or a long-term trade. But something like this could easily tank if left unchecked. I do like the range that it's in currently, only because it's spent so much time here. If you look back between October 2016 and October 2017, it spent so much time here, dude. Like between $1.40 and $2.30. It spent a year at this range, right? So when I say long term, I really mean it. When talking about long term stocks, don't expect it to moon overnight. It certainly would be nice when it does, but it's definitely not not a requirement. So I'm okay reserving 5% of my portfolio for something risky like this. It's low price, because you could make 500% on a move up to previous highs. And I do think that once federal legalization in the U.S., it's definitely a when situation and not an if situation. And it might even happen under Trump if he's trying to gain brownie points with the voting public. So I think that once marijuana legalization becomes a federal thing in the U.S., we could see these marijuana stocks just boom, like absolutely boom. And yes, I could see Aurora Cannabis hitting highs again of $10 and above. So I'm willing to hold it for a year or longer. It doesn't really matter to me. I will abandon it probably below $1.40 though. Have you looked into Tesla yet? Dino says. No. I mean, yes, every day I look in Tesla, but not on the live stream. So I'll look at Tesla right now. So Tesla is in an interesting situation because two things. One is the rise of NIO. I think that's how you say it. And NIO is the Tesla of China. Obviously, China has a Chinese version of every American product and service. They even made a joke about it on Silicon Valley. For those of you that watch that show, it's hilarious. Jin Yang, who's the Chinese character on the show, he basically has a new Facebook and a new Snapchat and a new Pied Piper, which is the company that's highlighted in Silicon Valley. So NIO is basically Tesla for China, and their stock shot up something like 60 or 70% today. But basically, it has a competitor in China. And then also the analysts are saying that there's no way that Tesla can meet the expected production that it had estimated. Now, I think that's a short-term problem, because once the Gigafactory opens up I think it's slated for March 2020, their third Gigafactory opens up in China, then I do think that Tesla will be able to meet demand rather easily meet demand and also their supply estimates for Model 3 specifically. So, Tesla, we've made almost 32% after buying the dip. It dipped to the 21 EMA that you see here, this white line. And once it dipped here and it sat here for a bit, and this was around the 0.786 fib, then we definitely bought a shitload of it. Some of you have even followed the call options and made hundreds of percentage points on this. But it rallied all the way up to, and I didn't expect it to rally this hard, but you can't predict momentum. It rallied all the way up to around $435, and now we have fallen to about $414. There was a bit of an overall market pullback today. If you look at the Dow's down 0.2%, same as the S&P, same as NASDAQ. Really, everything's down about 0.2%. And that usually happens on the last couple of days of trading because volume is really light. So, and plus the stock market has just been going apeshit. So, it's really expected. And as long as Tesla's falling kind of in line with what the market is doing, that's fine. I'll definitely be buying it if we do retrace down to the 21 EMA again. Another thing to note is look how overextended we are in Tesla. By overextended, I mean overbought, right? You see it here and here. So it's only right that we do see a decline on Tesla's price just because of how overbought it is. And then clearly there was definitely bearish divergence between the RSI and between the price. So, once the price starts cooling off again, I do have a trailing stop on Tesla. It's a minus 10% trailing stop, so it's a pretty healthy one. But if we do retrace back down to around 390, where the one level is around the 21 EMA, that's a point of confluence right there. Then I will rebuy Tesla, or at least buy call options or sell put options, depending on the implied volatility, in order to make that money back on Tesla. But I would not be surprised if in 2020 Tesla does hit a $500 mark. I would not be surprised at all, especially if the Gigafactory finishes in March, and we do have updates on Cybertruck orders and the fact that they, whether they're actually working on building the Cybertrucks or not. Long time motherfucking diamond patron represent. Tesla stock retracement. Yeah, I went over Tesla, Ari. Hopefully I answered your questions, but if I didn't, let me know. What are your thoughts on VeChain? I went over VeChain already. SBHD stock, Michael Blast says. Let's look at that one. Yeah, I mean, in general, I don't like to buy stocks that are overextended like this, without knowing too much about this stock right here. Just looking at the fact that, kind of like the S&P 500, it retested these levels multiple times before finally breaking. It looks like it's due for a potential retest of the resistance as support. So I'll wait for that. If we do break below, then I'll wait even longer to see how far it retraces. But if we test support and start bouncing, then you might look at something like SBHD. But I generally don't like getting in anything at the high, no matter what it is. It's just not, it's not my style of trading, to be honest. So, all right, let us look at the chat. Thoughts on silver. All right, let's look at silver. Damn, I'm getting parched, man. I should have brought a beer up here or something. All right. So silver, as you can see, I marked this. This was probably on the weekly. Silver is definitely in a long consolidation pattern, same as it was back, between 2005 or between 2006 and 2010. The one thing I don't like about precious metals is they're not hard, but they just don't provide really many enticing opportunities in the short term. You might have to hold it for the long run. It's good, I guess, to keep some precious metals in your physical store somewhere, but in terms of trading it on the stock market, unless you find like some sort of leveraged ETF, it's really, it could be really I don't know, I guess not frustrating, but it could be really boring to trade something like silver or gold. So, I do see silver in this long consolidation pattern. I would buy it for the long term. There's this thought that, when the market crashes, gold and silver go up. And it's not true. When the market crashes, gold and silver crash as well. Just look at the price of silver, for instance, here in 2008. This right here was the market crash. And silver dipped all the way down below $10. And then it rallied with the market. And actually, in the long term, once the market starts doing good, people pull their money out of gold and silver. And so that's why you see that during our historic bull run, this is between 2011 and now, you see silver kind of on the decline, and you're like, wait a minute, the market is doing well. Why is silver on the decline? Well, it's true because the market is in a major rally, and buying something like silver and gold, you'll die holding your breath waiting for a rally. So people would rather spend their money on on stocks. They'd rather have their money in the equity markets. I mean, imagine if you bought the dip like I did in 2008, 2009, and you just held mostly Fortune 500 companies. I made more money in that than I did on Bitcoin, and I bought Bitcoin, at $1,000 in January of 2017. So, it's really hard to entertain putting your money in a precious metal when the equity markets are doing so good. And then when the market crashes, these metals will crash as well, maybe less. They'll crash less, right? History shows us that they crash at a lesser rate than the market, but they still crash nonetheless. So, I mean, unless you're looking for something secure to put your money in, it's, again, I mean, these consolidation patterns can take years to play out. Yeah, I do have some GLD, and that is doing well. It's a gold ETF, but yeah, I'd much rather have my money in something like AMTD or Tesla at the moment. What do you think the current state of the altcoin market and the future? Bash, is that how you say your name? Or is it Bass H? I don't know. Maybe it's Base H. That's a tough one, man. The altcoin market, I definitely think that it changed in character permanently. It's definitely not what it used to be. The hype is not there anymore. It doesn't mean that there aren't altcoins that are, at a discount right now. I do usually just trade in the top alts, and then when coins like RVN or Link Link is a top alt now, but it didn't used to be. Tezos as well is the top alt now, but I definitely don't mind trading coins like that. But asking me to hold like I don't know, blah 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 coin that is going to moon, and just make sure you hold your bags or what. I mean, that's really not my style. I do think that altcoins will never reach the heights that they reached before. And if you're being honest, if any trader is being honest with themselves, that they can say that with a straight face. But it doesn't mean that there aren't any altcoins that aren't presenting opportunities right now. Like I said, USD, I looked at this earlier, but there's a good opportunity here. XRP at 19 cents, I think, is a good opportunity. I went over Link and Tezos earlier, but in terms of the altcoin market being what it used to be, I mean, that's a tough one. If you look at coin market cap, the one thing that's interesting, though, that actually is refuting what I'm saying, or I guess could be refuting what I'm saying, is the number of cryptocurrencies. People haven't looked at this for a while, but look at the number of cryptos. If you asked me off the top of my head before I knew what this was, I'll tell you that there's 2,600 some odd cryptos. This number is now almost 5,000. But the market cap is shit, right? So you would think that with double the number of cryptocurrencies that you would get more market cap. But the market cap is staying the same or even decreasing. Imagine if I told you the stock market now had twice the stocks that it used to. You'd expect the market cap to go up, right? But it hasn't. So, I can't tell you anything other than what's factual currently, which is there just isn't any money pumping into these alts. And certainly I don't believe in them as projects, right? The whole, read the white paper, it's a good project. This is the blockchain version of Uber, or the blockchain version of Facebook, or the blockchain version of YouTube. I mean, that's just for the birds, man. Like, those of you that understand software development know that blockchain is not very complicated. It's great. It's amazing technology. Not very complicated. Amazon, Google, Facebook, they can all, hire blockchain developers out of college. It's not a very complicated technology. So, these companies don't need a Tron or a Cardano or, an Ethereum Classic in order to build whatever product they want to on the blockchain. So 3K now. What's 3K now? LaPlot says 3K now. Are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, honestly. Indian company down to 4.5%. That's the reason BTC not up to its mark. Indian economy down 4.5%. I don't know that that's the reason, man. You really have to look in, at factual things and not really on any sort of anecdotal terms, right? Look at the volume. Is the volume mostly coming from India? No, it's not. The volume is mostly coming from the United States and from East Asia. So I don't know that the Indian economy is down. That's the reason that BTC is not up, to be honest. All right. Couple more. Yo, what's up? Thanks for the live stream, Jason White. What's up, Jason? Bro, thoughts on Deutsche Bank? You mean as a stock or as a company? I assume you mean as a stock. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, stocks like this, again, it has a very identifiable range. You can easily trade within that range. No reason to respect, a price breakout out of this range until it actually happens. And when it happens, you'll know about it. But certainly, you can trade within this range. This might provide some great swing opportunities. Certainly, buying at around $6.50, selling at around $8. That looks like that's the range currently. But other than that, I mean, this is one ugly ass chart, man. I mean, it's really like a long fall from grace, going all the way back to the market crash, right? The prices now are lower than it was when the market crashed. That's how crazy this is. So, we went from $77, tanked all the way down to $6 now. I would only swing trade this until we break, this channel and decide that, it's time for a real rally. Otherwise, without looking at the fundamentals, I'm sure you can Google Deutsche Bank and see, if what it is that's causing that from a fundamental perspective. Are they losing money year on year? I mean, it looks like just from peeping these earnings here, and the earnings data, by the way, in TradingView is not always accurate, but if you look at this, 470% missed earnings, 2,300% missed earnings. That one's up 24%, 210. So it looks like their earnings are just shit. Don't know if there's a change of guard, if their board members have changed or their CEO has changed, but yeah, definitely wouldn't buy this for the long term for sure. Do you ever use stop loss for your options? Howard asks. It depends on what platform you're trading. In Robinhood, you can't set a stop loss. You can set limit orders. You can close on limit orders, but you can't set a traditional stop loss. But certainly, I mean, there's a time when you do have to decide to exit your options, and that's when you're down a certain amount and the stock is moving against you, and you still have more to lose than you have to gain. And what I mean by that is, if you take a look at an option, say you're trading like a vertical spread, right? And the maximum price or value that the option could be is $1, and you bought the option for 50 cents, and now it's 40 cents. So you're down about 10 cents for every option. You still have a lot more to lose than you do to gain. And you might decide that, and you also have the expiration date working against you. So you might decide that, hey, I'm just going to exit this, maybe come in at a lower strike for further out expiration. That's the great thing about options, is that you can exit the option, and then if you still believe in the setup, it's just at a lower price than you thought, or it's going to take longer for that to pan out, you can extend the life, you can close out that option, open up a new one at a lower strike price or a higher strike price, depending if you're doing calls or puts, and then, extend the expiration out and continue monitoring that same direction that you thought the stock would move in. But now you're basically buying yourself a little more time and saving yourself money. But there's been times when, I wasn't diligent, and say I bought an option for 50 cents, a vertical spread for 50 cents per option or per share. And now the option's worth 10 cents. So I'm down most of my money. So I actually have more to gain than to lose. So instead of exiting, right, if I exit at 10 cents, I bought it at 50. If there's still a good amount of time on the expiration left, I'll just keep it open because I have more to gain than to lose. If I close it, I'm not really gaining anything. But since it's at 10 cents, it can really go to zero. And I bought it at 50. So I'll keep it open. Granted that I have more time for the option until expiration. But yeah, so that's really how I would look at it. But in Robinhood, you can't set a stop loss for an option. Jason White says, how's the BMW? The BMW is fantastic, man. I'm having a ball driving that car. I'm glad I got it in a stick shift for sure. Especially since I'm in the US and those are really going out of style. We might get to a point in a couple years where we just don't have any more stick shifts and you'll have to buy older cars. Do you think Bitcoin is just an auto bot system? No, I don't. Thanks for the good advice. I guess it depends. What do you mean by auto bot system? Yeah, I mean, the code works. The code is baked in to Bitcoin. So for instance, like the halving is baked into the code. If you by Autobot, you're talking from a trading perspective. No, I don't think Bitcoin is just an Autobot system as it relates to trading. I do think that it automatically, for instance, creates a restriction on supply by the halvings that are baked in at certain block numbers. But yeah. Robinhood just introduced stop loss for options, just not on spreads. Howard, yes. Sorry. Thanks for the clarification. I do mean on spreads, on vertical spreads. I won't say never, but I rarely trade naked options, and you shouldn't either. You should engage in at least vertical spread trades and do it multiple times. So that, you give yourself basically another trading day. If you just make one misstep on a naked option, that could be, hundreds or thousands of dollars within a very short amount of time. And, who needs that headache? What platform do you use to trade options? I use Robinhood and Thinkorswim. I'll actually pull it up for you, but Thinkorswim is this right here. This is the platform that I use to trade options. I encourage everybody to get this. Everybody. Even if you don't plan on opening an account with TD Ameritrade, you should be getting Thinkorswim because it allows you to paper trade options. And as you see here, this is not real money, so don't get excited, chumps. This is my paper trading account, right? So you can go to anything like, as a matter of fact, let's just get into this now. So, say Amazon, right? You get into, you want to buy some Amazon options. So you find the ticker and you go down to this right here is called the option chain, right? You'll see this in Thinkorswim. And here are all the options and their expiries. And this right here in the parentheses, this is the days until expiration. Now, here's why I say you should get Thinkorswim, because it offers you this paper trading platform and you can simulate trades using Thinkorswim. And also Robinhood or any other platform, nobody offers you the type of options analysis that this offers you. So I'll give you an example. And for those of you that aren't interested in options, sorry, you should be. It's a great way to profit off of the market, especially on expensive stocks like Amazon that are $1,800 a share. I know that there's something as, a notion of fractional shares now on most platforms, but still, you can make a lot more money trading with options. So say that, you want to pick this January 31st, 2020 option. So it expires January 31st. It's a weekly. That's 32 days out. And say by the way, I still do my analysis on TradingView, funny enough. I do like TradingView's charting better than Thinkorswim, but I do like Thinkorswim's option analysis platform over anything. So if I'm looking at Amazon, and I actually recently did this, I do think that we'll see a rise in Amazon's price. We have the golden cross here. It finally broke out of resistance. It's now retested support as resistance. And I do think that we'll eventually get to at least 1960, potentially above $2,000 again. Amazon, out of all the other stocks, Apple, Facebook, Google, out of all the other tech stocks, this is the one that's really been left behind. And I do think that its run is due, among other things. But let's not get into the technicals now. So assuming that I think that Amazon's price is going to go up, you would essentially come in here, right? So say you want to pick, I usually pick something that's 30 to 45 days out, and you can either engage in a long call, right? So buying a call or selling a put, right? A call is the right to buy an option. A put is the right to sell an option. So selling a put means you're selling somebody the right to sell it at today's price. So you're expecting it to go up, right? Because you're giving the trader an option, and they're expecting it to go down. So, and by the way, if you do want help with options, I've trained multiple people that are in our community through one-on-ones. And, if you ever want to get into the world of options, I think the best way to learn, and that's how I learned, is through tutoring with somebody, right? Through a mentor. Because you're just going to get lost in a world of confusion if you try to go at this alone. Certainly you can, but it's a lot easier when you have somebody that has decades of experience with this stuff. So say January 31st, 1845, this is the first in the money option. Anyway, we're going to be buying a vertical, right? That just means you're buying an option, the 1845 strike, and you're selling the 1850. What does that do? Again, I don't engage in buying or selling naked call options, right? So in that sense, you're essentially limiting your risk. Now in Thinkorswim, here's the great thing. You can come down here, right click on your option, go to analyze trade, and boom, you'll see it here represented as a chart. Now, this is second to none. Nobody provides you this. So not only do you have a probability that it calculates for you making money, right? But it also visually shows you, and this T line is at expiration, right? Remember, this option expires January 31st. So this T line is at expiration. And this purple line is where we're at currently today. So this tells you that, and if you look down here at the bottom left, you'll see the max loss and the max gain. So 2,600 is what it would cost you to buy this. And, if the option ends up below anywhere below this line that you see here, the break even line, then you end up losing 2,600. If you're above this price, right, then you gain 2,400. And obviously you can change the number of contracts that you buy to make it, suit your budget more. So you can trade only 5 contracts. You can even trade 1 contract. So what I do is I look at this analysis here, and then I go on Robinhood and I actually execute the options trade because there's 0 fees on Robinhood. So, this is what a vertical debit call spread looks like, right? A vertical spread for a debit call where you're expecting the option to rise. Obviously, if you bought the naked call option, so say you just were crazy and you wanted to buy the naked call option and not do it through a spread, basically for 10 options, right, your max loss is 64,150. And your max gain is unlimited because the option can basically go to infinity. So you could see how ridiculous these numbers get here. If Amazon ends up being, say 1960, then you're gaining $54,000, right? But there's so much risk involved with naked options. Naked call options are not as bad as naked put options, right? Because naked call options, there is a floor, and the ceiling is unlimited. However, if you take a look at, say, a naked put option, right? So if you sell the 1850, you could see that you're essentially your floor is unlimited. It's an unlimited loss here. And you could see that here on the bottom left. It just gets ridiculous, right? So if Amazon does fall to, say, 1750, you're down $37,000. So anyway, there's no need to talk about that level of hyperbole there. But definitely open up a free TD Ameritrade account. You don't even have to fund it. Download Thinkorswim, especially if you're in the US. And, as I send out options alerts in the Discord, you can even ask me questions, and we'll go over, I can give you some tips on how I set up my options trade. But this is essentially what I use. And then I'll go on Robinhood and execute the options themselves. Again, I also taught a few people on the Discord how to trade options. I have 4 spots left, by the way, for January. So for those of you that want one-on-ones, not only with options, but if you want to learn how to trade or chart or do TA or talk about your portfolio, I have 4 one-on-one sessions left for January. So some man, just rewind back in the chat. But no, in short, I don't think we'll hit 3,000. 2020 year-end price prediction for Bitcoin. Jason White asks, that's not me, man. If you've been around this channel for a long time, you know that's not my thing. So I can't give you a prediction because I don't do that. You're asking for a prediction by a certain date. I don't operate like that. It's not conducive to my trading. It doesn't provide me any real benefits to my trading. But if I had to guess, and you really want an answer out of me, I would say somewhere, somewhere in the $15,000 range there. Newbie here. Where can I get a high quality trading training in the U.S.? Dean Law asks. Dean Law, hit me up. I have 4 to 5 spots. I need to go back and look at it, but 4 to 5 spots left for one-on-one training in January. So hit me up. The boss is an XRP fan, not BTC 580. I'm not an XRP fan, LaPlante. I'm not an any fan. I'm a fan of money. Really, that's it. So are you working on an options for dummies training course, Michael Blast? Yes, I'm working on an options trading course. How much % you made on stocks in 2019 with your portfolio? A lot, man, including options, definitely over 200%. So, it's been a great year for sure. All right, cool. Anybody else have any questions? I feel like I've been talking for forever now. I need like a beer or a Coke or something. I made the mistake of not bringing a drink up here. But anyway, do any of you have any more questions? If not, I'm going to end the live stream here and definitely catch up with you guys on chat. Oh, that's the other thing. Yes, I will be doing a voice chat right after this for the diamond traders and above. So you go ahead and yeah, we'll meet up on the Discord right after this, and I'll take any remaining questions that you have. The boss knows XRP is a joke, Danny Rothberg. Yes, I think most alts are a joke, to be honest. So it doesn't mean that I won't trade it. Love the live streams. Yes, I definitely, okay, I'm not a New Year's resolution person, but if I had a New Year's resolution, it would be to do more live streams, for sure. Yes, there's a Thinkorswim mobile app for sure, but Thinkorswim is this that you're seeing right here on my screen. So, but there is a Thinkorswim mobile app. Can you paper trade on it? Yes. This is my paper trading account. This one with almost $200,000 in it. This is a paper trading account. Greetings from Brazil, Luis Mauricio. Hey, I was in Brazil at least 5 times this year, man. One of my favorite places of all time. Let me know what city you're in, dude. So maybe we'll meet up when I'm down there. Do you usually prefer direction trading on options or credit spreads? I don't know. That's not an either or thing. Direction trading or credit. You mean debit spreads or credit spreads? Is that what you mean? It really depends on the implied volatility. I'll do another video on this, but the implied volatility, essentially, you'll see the the measures here on Thinkorswim, right? This 21%, 22%, 23%. Implied volatility is basically what determines whether you should be engaging in debit spreads or credit spreads, right? So if the implied volatility is low, right, and again, you find that here, and it's relative to each stock. So here you'll see the statistics. This is another reason why I love Thinkorswim. If you look down here, you'll see the implied volatility. If the implied volatility is low, then you definitely want to be a buyer, right? So you want to do debit spreads. And again, you could do debit spreads on both sides of the coin for puts and for calls. So it doesn't mean if you do a debit spread, you think the stock's going to go up. And if you do a credit spread, you think it's going down. You could do a debit spread on both the call and the put side and a credit spread on both the call and the put side. So it just really depends on the direction that you think that the stock is going, and in turn the option price is going. But when the volatility is low, I definitely engage more in in debit spreads, right? Because you have more to gain as volatility increases. If this right here, if this represents Amazon's volatility, if it represents a low side, and it does, because you see here, Amazon's 52-week low volatility is 16.5%, and the current IV percentile, implied volatility percentile, is 27%. So it's still in the low range, and that means that, if volatility increases, you will see huge spikes in price. So that's why I definitely want to be a buyer, right? So debit spreads. And when volatility is high and you see this current IV percentile is through the roof, then that means that the option itself already has the volatility is already priced in, so the option is overpriced to a certain extent. So you definitely want credit spreads because you want to collect that credit up front. And if volatility is already high, then it doesn't have much higher to go, right? So you expect the price to go down, so you want to collect most of that credit up front. So anyway, Michael Blast, do they charge you to go longer? No. You can paper trade for as long as you want, man. You don't even have to put $1 in it. Trust me, I've been on Thinkorswim for at least 10 years. But yeah. Anyway, guys, that is it for this video, or live stream, I should say. But go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. If you do want to get the trade alerts, and that includes options now, link is in the description. Also, like I said, I do have 4 or 5. Todd says thoughts on Nike. All right. Thank you for the super chat. So I'll do that before I leave. This will be the last one for sure. Nike is killing it on limited release shoe drops with a solid secondary shoe sales market with StockX and others. Yeah, I mean, if you're just talking about that, those fundamentals have been there forever. It's always done limited shoe drops. StockX and GOAT have been around for a while. And that's actually something that a lot of people might not know about me, is that I used to be more of a sneakerhead, but I have a whole shit ton of Jordans up there for sure. And other shoes as well. I love 90s basketball shoes. So shoes you might not have even heard of, unless you're old like me, but for sure. Looking at Nike, I mean, this again is at an all-time high. This right here should just be, definitely a growth stock investment, right? So you're planning on putting together a portfolio for your retirement. There aren't any swing trade opportunities really on Nike. Buying at the all-time high. I mean, this is a Fortune 500 company. I remember buying a shitload of Nike, among other stocks, including Intel and Coca-Cola, back here in 2008, 2009, when the stock market crashed. It's so crazy that back here Nike was like $9. I can't even say that with a straight face. Now it's trading at 100. Lululemon is even crazier. Lululemon was $2 and now it's trading over $200. So, and I would say that's one of Nike's main competitors. It's not Adidas. Lululemon, if you look at the numbers, it's definitely been, gaining on Nike's market share with women's apparel. So, Nike, I would either buy at retest of the 200 moving average, like we saw back here in May and August, also in December, or add it as part of your long-term portfolio and keep buying it on the dip. But currently, there aren't many swing trades on Nike unless we do see a retracement to about the 200 MA. Then we could start talking about potential swing trade opportunities. But right now, just like Microsoft, and Microsoft is one that that we've owned for a long time now, buying on the dip. But Microsoft, it looks almost identical to Nike. It's crazy that I can mostly memorize these patterns just from looking at stocks all day. But if you look at Microsoft, it looks exactly like like Nike stock. So yeah. But yeah, that's it on Nike. Roadrunner. Thanks, Z. Yes, unbelievable, Todd, for real. It's crazy. It was at $9. Nike just developed a system on ETH to trace Nike shoes. Yeah, I mean, those stories have been around. Really, those stories were a product of the 2017 crypto market. Like, look who's working with BMW and look who's working with McDonald's. It's just, I don't really think that means anything for the crypto anymore. Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if it were true and if it was actually something usable in the wild. But just because they're exploring certain blockchains doesn't really mean anything. And plus, these companies like XRP, these projects like XRP or VeChain or whatever, you're not buying a share in the company, man. You're buying a coin, right? They essentially created a coin because it was easy to do so, and it allows you to skirt regulations, and you don't have shareholders, you don't owe them anything, right? So Ripple could be worth, what was its latest valuation? I can't remember. It's in the billions, right? You can own 1 billion XRP. They don't owe you anything. If Ripple goes public, they don't owe you shit, unless you're able to fight it in court and say it's a security. And a few people have tried to do that, but it just never really went anywhere. So anyway, like I said, I do have some spots for one-on-ones. If you want to learn options, if you want to learn technical analysis, if you want to learn portfolio management, trading, whatever, hit me up. Those spots do go fast. But yeah, 0.03 Bitcoin drawing. I will be doing that on Wednesday, right? First of every month. And did I leave anything out? Yeah, voice chat right after this. So for those of you that are diamond traders or above, meet me in the Discord. I'll be doing a voice chat right after this and go over any questions that we might not have answered here. That is it for this video. Stay safe out there, traders. Peace.